My name's Tom.
My name's Angie.
My name is Hannah. I'm from South
Darren,
London.
I'm from Dover.
I'm Raj and I'm from Birmingham.
I'm Simon.
Sarah.
I'm Julie.
Matthew.
I'm Richie and I'm from Newcastle.
From my age? No, that's good. No one wakes up in the morning and goes, oh, I think today I want to become an addict.
I never thought that would be me. That person who's head girl at school. If you were an outsider looking in, you'd have said everything looked pretty perfect.
Addiction is very misunderstood. The stigma surrounding addiction is dreadful.
It was the stigma that almost kept me frozen in an addiction.
And I couldn't tell anyone. I didn't know how.
Drink and drugs gradually took over my life, and that it took everything away from me.
But if I wasn't using, I was thinking about it. That's my life was consumed.
I lost myself. I lost my hobbies. I didn't know what I liked anymore.
I lost my house, I lost my job, I lost the trust of a lot of my family because you make so many promises as well.
The more I talk to people, the more you realise that it's just everywhere.
Everybody you know has either a family member, a friend, a work colleague who is struggling somehow with addiction. And it's just something we need to bring out of the shadows and into the light, and it's nothing to be ashamed of.
It's the shame that keeps us ill.
Everybody knows somebody, but they don't know it. That's why I came here today.
I am just so delighted that there's other people who are prepared to tell their story out loud, who are prepared to share. Even if one person sees this who thinks they might be a bit like me, I would have loved to have seen that when I was really struggling.
Alrighty.
Thank you. I think my addiction originally started from a very, very young age, gambling. And see, gambling was my first real addiction. Watching my father and family members playing the bandit, and I would often be asked to press the button, and I was fascinated by the flashing lights. Started off winning, and then when I started losing, I didn't like that feeling and chased my losses. And it led from bandits to casinos to scratch cards to online gambling, and then on your mobile phone. I became addicted to alcohol and cocaine, and no matter which one I tried, they all led back to each other. I couldn't get away from it. The guilt and shame literally ate us up, and I couldn't live with that. And then I would go on benders. I always worry that my kids will end up like me. My daughter did say it's gamble. I even stood and let my daughter press the buttons at a young age, just like I had, because I thought that was completely normal. And I thought the only way I can beat this addiction was suicide. I'm so glad that didn't happen. My wife stood by us. For 10 years we've been together, and it's only the last 10 months that we've had a true relationship, because it's the only time she's seen us sober and not gambling. I always thought I was missing out when people were going out for a pint. And if I was sat at home with the kids, I was jealous of those who were out having a drink, but I wasn't missing out on anything. It was me who was missing out the times I wasn't present. Putting my son to bed on a night time, lying in his cot, giving him a bottle and watching him fall asleep. It's no longer a chore.
There were loads of reasons why I drank.
I think so much of it was fear about being gay.
Addiction within the LGBTQ community is so high. It's so high.
I suffered with postnatal depression, so I was self-medicating.
The only thing I knew how to deal with my feelings and emotions was to run away. And again, I would just end up back in the boogies.
It's an addiction to another addiction to another addiction.
And I don't think it matters what you're addicted to. It can take over.
It was just a lot of fear and not letting people down and not letting people in.
It's beyond words, it's devastating. So lonely, so isolated.
It was such a deplorable place, such a destitute place.
At first, alcohol worked. It numbed it, it blanked it, it stopped it, it helped. Just to feel normal and to numb myself, because the life had got so unmanageable.
I remember sitting in that hospital thinking, right, I can't keep doing this.
Because if I did, I was going to die.
And I said it to someone, I need help.
But I think people are scared, and it's a really scary place. Being honest is a really scary place.
When I was in it, the middle of it, you don't realise the pain and the hurt that it causes to others. That's what we all think, I'm not hurting no one, I'm not harming no one. And you're hurting everyone. And it can have a really traumatic effect on those close to that person.
I grew up with my dad. He was an alcoholic. I, from a young age, started drinking at 14 and spiralled into addiction myself. Yeah. He was the most charismatic person you would ever meet. He would he would light up a room when he walked into it. There are so many bad stories towards the end, but that's not who he was. That was the addiction. I was 15 and we were doing GCSE and I was doing music for GCSE and I was asked to write a requiem, which is like a memorial piece of music. And I composed a song. I composed a song about my fear of losing my dad, that he was going to die. And that's exactly what happened. I was waiting for him on my 16th birthday party, and he didn't come. And he wasn't answering his phone, which is unlike him. Through it all, he would always show how much he loved us, me and my sisters, always. So it was really confusing why he wasn't there. It's funny because we had a fancy dress party, actually, and me and my sisters were dressed up as angels on that day. And when I went to school the next day, just normal, but I was fuming. How could he have left me with all these people? I didn't want to be with anyone else. I wanted to be with him. How could he have left me? Where is he? And he was gone. That piece of music that I wrote for my GCSE exam was used for my dad's funeral. And I got my sisters to sing the lyrics as well. It's a strange one when you can feel what's coming, but you can't stop it.
For every addict, they say that there are 20 people affected here. And I believe that. I think the ripple effect is it's so vast. But I also believe the ripple effect of recovery can also be so vast.
I did all the wrong things, and I didn't know that I did all the wrong things. I rescued, I enabled.
Recovery is something that we cannot do on behalf of somebody else.
Family need recovery too. It's not just an addict that needs recovery.
I found it really hard to talk about in the beginning. In fact, I told no one.
You become introverted. You don't want to see or talk to friends because they're going to ask you, how is he?
Because I've been through so much at such a young age, I have to wear this invisible shield to protect me.
It's a very difficult thing to think that something's going to get better all the time, but it never does.
You're meant to be a child, you're meant to be having fun, and instead you're worrying about other things.
One of the things I've always had to hang on to is hope. Because if I didn't have any hope, I'd be nowhere.
The hope that they will get recovery, the hope that they live a life that they deserve.
Addiction is just a small part of the person that they are. You want them to care about themselves as much as you care about them.
I think recovering from addiction and recovering from the impact of somebody's addiction are two very different things.
Addiction has, touched my life in a very profound way. Because in 2018, my son, who was then 21, took his own life after a very difficult and long battle with ketamine addiction. He was an amazing boy. And if anybody would have ever told me this would have happened to him or to us as a family before it did, I would never, ever have believed it. I mean, I remember the night before he died, we were sitting in the front room, he and I together, And I said, there is a way out of this. You can get better. People do recover. You can. And he just said, Mum, there's nothing more I want than to be one of those people that wake up every day and feel normal. He said, I want that so much. He said, but I'm not that person. I'm the person who wakes up every day with a craving to use. And then he said to me, and I remember it, he just said, and you know what, Mum? If this is living, I don't want it. And, the following morning, I came downstairs and his door was open. And I knew as I walked to the door, because he never slept with his door open. And he was dead in bed. And, such a tragic waste, And he's got these amazing friends, and we all still keep in touch, and we go out together and we have lovely times and we talk about him because he made such an impact on so many people's lives. But it's so hard because it's like every time they do something, like a landmark event, pass a driving test or move into a flat or do something, it's a reminder of all the things that he could have done. I will never be the person I was before he started using. Never. That person is gone. But I just have to find a way to, use my experiences, because I don't, anything that I can say or do to stop another family, another mother going through what I've gone through, it will be worth it.
By the age of 29, I was suicidal with alcohol. I'd drink and I'd not want to wake up in the morning because it felt that just being me was just too difficult. It felt that getting through the day had just become so difficult. I had easy access to alcohol from my teenage years, but even within a community of heavy drinkers, my drinking started to stand out. For me, it was drinking for a feeling. It was for that emotional impact it gave me that I knew I couldn't carry on like this. And that was my start into recovery. I knew that I had to get help. So I reached out to a 12-step fellowship and they directed me to a meeting. And I remember being parked up outside this meeting. I had my hands on the steering wheel so tight, my knuckles were going white. What am I doing? I'm a bald Asian guy going into the basement of a church on a Thursday night. None of it made sense to me. I think somebody noticed me sat in the car, kind of looking a bit scared and pale, and they came to the door and they reassured me, and they led me into that meeting by the palm of my hand. And I remember looking around and thinking, where are the alcoholics? Because everybody just looked normal, and I was thinking, have I come to the right place? And the format of the meeting was somebody was going to share about their experience, strength and hope, and I looked at this guy and I was like, what do I have in common with like a 50-year-old plasterer? I didn't know what to expect, but I sat there and in my desperation, I listened, and I remember he must have shared for about 20, 30 minutes. And when he finished, I couldn't believe it. Here was somebody that I had nothing in common with, but he was able to articulate things and thoughts I'd been feeling all my life. He was able to put into words things I'd never been able to put into words myself. A room full of strangers saved my life. And I remember leaving that meeting, leaving it with hope, and that was the gift that I was given. It was hope that I wasn't alone anymore.
We can all see someone who's going through the hardship. We don't hear enough about the people who have overcome it. And there's loads of people like me.
I'm a firm believer in surrounding yourself with people on a similar journey, but also having people to aspire to and people to head towards as well.
What have I gained in recovery?
Everything.
It's given me my life back. I was
really unaware what life would be like. It's so special. It's so valuable.
It feels good. It feels good to be loved, and it feels good to be able to love again, you know, to be able to give love and receive love. Yeah, it's a good feeling.
I'm excited that people trust me. I feel it in my soul that they trust me again.
What I started to realise is that I was just existing whilst on drugs, when there was this whole life happening around me.
I'm taking it one day at a time, as they say in recovery.
My life's beginning, does that make sense?
I got plans. I love it, it's exciting.
Every single day, I go to bed sober and I wake up sober.
Being a sober mum is the best feeling in the world.
I did not want my child to be a child of an alcoholic. I know what kind of pain that can bring, and it stops here.
Coming up for a year, clean and sober now, gamble-free. It's a life beyond my wildest dreams.
You can recover. I'm not battling. I'm living a good life, and this is what's on offer.
Life can be beautiful if you let it be.